Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. In today's video guys, I want to do something a bit different. I have never talked about crypto in this channel, but if you have seen my Coinbase stock analysis, you know that I have actually been invested in crypto since 2018. So it's not something that I don't know anything about because I first started to get interested in this space back in October 2017. So I have seen the boom, I have seen the burst. I think that probably lots of people are new to the market. The only thing that they have seen so far is the huge positive side, right? But well, crypto is not always like that. And so in today's video, I want to show you actually how I like to look at crypto, because in my opinion, at the end of the day, especially when it comes to crypto, technical analysis and cyclical analysis are extremely important, way more important than the news. Because if you stay for long enough in this market, you realize that every time is the same. You have a bull phase, but then you have a pullback phase. And during the bull phase, everyone is crazy about the news. Everyone is actually enthusiastic about the stuff. I was back in 2017 and I can tell you myself, probably if you have lived that too, it was very similar to how it has been so far. Now we have Elon Musk. Back then we had John McAfee, but everything is very similar. But the truth is that after Bitcoin hit 20,000, then we have what's called the crypto winter. 2 years of Bitcoin actually staying below the highs done in 2017. Lots of altcoin actually got busted. Many projects disappeared, okay, because never forget that lots of new cryptos, they come out during bull phases, but then when it comes to crypto winter, lots of them, they just disappear. So in today's video guys, I will show you my technical analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum and Dogecoin. We'll also want to explain you why I think that you should be careful in the coming months, because I think that what we are gonna see will be a bit different from what we are used to see. So the only thing I ask you guys as always is please leave me another like. It's very important and I thank you for it. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new updates. Let's begin. Alright guys, so let's start with Bitcoin. So the first thing that we realize when we talk about Bitcoin is how cyclical it is. Okay, now it's true that over the long term has always gone up. However, we went through lots of phases with booms and bursts. And those bursts, sometimes they get very ugly. Well, one can make the point, okay, I just buy and hold and that's perfectly fine. But the reality is that a very few amount of people are actually truly believer. Because when it comes to crypto, you don't have, especially for Bitcoin and Dogecoin, for example, you don't have a business, right? So it's not like buying Apple shares where basically you have earnings, you can have an idea in mind of what's the fair price of it. When it comes to crypto, it's all about demand and supply, how much people want to buy, how much people want to sell, and you see those things in the graphs. So whether you like it or not, technical analysis and cyclical analysis on the graphs, in my opinion, is the most important thing that you can do to protect yourself a bit. Very few people just buy and hold. A lot of people, they get excited during periods like this. They buy at very high levels, and then when the market actually enters the crypto winter, those people, they are down minus 20, 30, 40%, and then after a while they give up and they lose money. But then the market booms, it goes higher again. And also, in my opinion, kind of understanding or having an idea on technical analysis, it makes you look at this market in a more efficient way, because okay, the buy and hold has always worked. But for example, if you bought Bitcoin back at highs in 2017, and where is it right now, actually you have made 150%, and that's great. However, if you bought back over there, what you have made is way more than that, okay? Almost 11x versus 1.5x. So having an idea, in my opinion, on the price action of this kind of stuff, it's important. And technical analysis, it works very well, in my opinion, with crypto, way more than in the stock market, where you have actually fundamental analysis because you have businesses. Now, what I want to show you in this video is why, in my opinion, the coming months will be a little bit more complicated. First of all, in crypto, as I just told you, I have always seen a cyclical behavior. Because we have cycles, what you have is that for a period of time, usually I like to take annual cycles, and what you have is that for a period of time you have the positive part of the cycle, and then you have the pullback, weak, negative part of the cycle. On average, they last between 1 year and around 450 days. Okay, like for example, the one from December 2018, the bottom, to basically the pandemic, look at that. This is a clear cycle, okay? It starts here, it ends up on the bottom over there. Now, that one, what we can see is that it lasted 450 days. And usually, if you go back in time since 2012, what you have is that these kind of numbers, so around 1 year, 450 days, repeat. So very cyclical, that's the first thing. Now, when we take a look at the cycle where we are right now, we started here, the week of the 9th of March 2020 with the pandemic. And on average, as I just told you, statistically, a day lasts around 450 days. And what you can see is that first of all, you have a first part of the cycle that it is obviously a strong one, okay, as I just explained you. But then, as all the cycles actually they come to a point where you enter the last part of the cycle, when a cycle has to close. Okay, so the end of an annual cycle, which is the weak part, okay, where there is the pullback phase. And in my opinion, right now we are going through this part of the cycle. Now, when we take the daily time frame, here is the last cycle that I just talk to you about, okay? Started in the first week of March 2020 with the pandemic. Now, you can see how strong the first part has been, everyone knows that, but since basically the highs that we made on the 14th of April, we have seen a bit of weakness. Now, the 450 days actually end in the 7th of June. Usually and obviously, this number is not gonna be precise, okay? Why is that useful? Because it gives us a time frame, okay? So a time horizon when we can say, well, you know what? In the history, Bitcoin has always moved in cycles, and on average, they last around that particular time. So what this tells us is that we are probably going into the weak part of the cycle, and it can end on the time period between basically the end of May and the first couple of weeks of June, so the next month. So here is why this is obviously interesting, because it gives us a sort of an alert, a warning, and a time frame, right? So it's not that on that day this will happen, no, but it tells us that, look, pay attention, because the huge bull moves that you have seen, well, probably is going to be a bit different going forward, because this annual cycle is about to end. So here is why it is interesting in my opinion. Another thing that tells us that is that, as you can see from the start of the cycle, the RSI is a 30 period. I like to use it like that. Why? Well, simple, because if we just hide this, you can see how Bitcoin moves in smaller cycles inside a single cycle. Now, I think it's pretty clear to see, okay? So look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What happens is that if you measure those days, usually they are between 25 days and 35 Okay, 37 days. This average is around 30 days. So here is why I use the RSI at 30, because it gives me an idea on the strength on each cycles. And what you see is that in the first part of the cycle, you have an RSI which is strong. Okay, so you have an RSI which from the beginning is actually going higher. Okay, look at that. But you arrive at a point where, and here is why the RSI is interesting, you have basically the RSI peaking, and here it has peaked the 8th of January 2021. But then you have a divergency, because the market is going higher, but the RSI is telling you, look, the market is going higher, but it's losing strength. Look at that, is going down as the market is going higher. Now, this is one of the first alarms that are telling you that probably we are going through the end of this annual cycle. And this is something that happens a lot of times if we just take a look at the cycle before this one. So the previous annual cycle, which goes from the bottom of 2018 to actually the pandemic, we had the same stuff, very similar. First part of the cycle moving higher, and you had the RSI moving higher as well. Then what has happened is that here, around the 15th of May, the RSI peaked, but the market didn't. And what you had going forward is the market moving higher and the RSI starting to move down, telling you, look, we are losing power on these moves. And after a while, well, you know what? The market did highs, but the RSI was already lower than the previous levels. And as you can see, the market from there started the weak phase that ended up basically with the pandemic. So now that we know all those points, actually look at what is happening. Now, first of all, I told you the 450 days, so the annual cycle is about to end the 7th of June. Now, this is just an indication, okay? It's not precise, but it makes us understand the kind of period we are going in. And I told you that those monthly cycles are usually they last around 30 days. So put all those things together, put that Bitcoin hasn't done new highs since basically the 14th of April. We can see the trend line going down over there. This means weakness. The RSI, same stuff, weakness. So put all those dots together, and basically what the graph is telling us is that Bitcoin can go through the end of this cycle. Because of that, it has to make a low. So it has to go down, right? This is the point of the video. This is why I'm telling you, be careful, because it's not gonna be as we have seen here, okay? The coming month at least. Now, where is the target? In my opinion, one target that Bitcoin can reach, the first level to look at is around $42,000 per coin, okay? Which, if we deduct that, is the previous low over there of 28th of February. Now, to close an annual cycle, we have to go below that level, or at least make a double bottom. So my opinion is more likely to go below that level. The next level that I will pay close attention to, it's easier to see on the weekly time frame, is actually this over there, the close of the weeks of January at $38,000 per coin. So this is another interesting level to definitely pay attention to. If we just put all of that together with the 200 moving average, extremely important for Bitcoin, we see that all of those two things together in the time frame that I told you, so going from, in my opinion, the 20th of May to the 7th of June, is gonna be very likely that Bitcoin can do this. Probably try like that a bit, but then do this. The 200 moving average will come inside that, and this is an area, an interesting area for Bitcoin to close the annual cycle. Now, why I'm telling you to be careful? Because first of all, when the Bitcoin closes cycles, it's not that strange to see drops, okay, significant drops, more than the stock market. And if Bitcoin drops like that, well, be careful with altcoin, especially small caps. Because if we continue to see Bitcoin moving down, as I expect, we can see some panic in smaller caps. And those altcoins are not new to something like a minus 50%, minus 60% when the fear hits. So pay attention to that. Another very important thing that you will realize moving forward is how important this trend line, negative trend line, is. For my experience since 2017, when Bitcoin closes a cycle, it's very complicated to pass this trend line. So if you want to wait for the next bullish move to say, okay, let's jump into Bitcoin, is actually when Bitcoin will break above that line and confirm above it. Okay, so close above it. You want to see a confirmation. Now, this, you will realize that it will be complicated, okay, not easy to achieve. So whenever you buy Bitcoin here, actually, the likelihood is more than it will go down, that it will move higher. Once again, really pay attention to it moving forward. Then obviously, let's switch to Ethereum as well. And as you can see, after the highs that we made on the 12th of May, $4,300, we are seeing weakness here as well. Now, if Bitcoin closes the annual cycle, it will drag down also almost all the altcoins, okay? And so pay attention to that as well. As we can see right now, Ethereum actually made lower lows. So we have once again this negative trend line. And we see how we hit, here it was the 13th of May, $3,500 per coin. Now this level is important. I believe that moving forward, if we do not close above this negative trend line, but we break down below this support at basically 3,500, it's very likely for Ethereum to reach the two next important levels. The first one is here, $3,100, and the next one is actually this area over there. Okay, so going from 2,500 to basically this one, 2,600. Once again, look at the weakness that we are seeing today as well. These can be the highs of the cycle, and now we are in the pullback phase. So everything is going to be correlated at some point. So pay attention to that. And obviously, the king of demand and supply, Dogecoin. Here, guys, exactly the same stuff. We made the highs on the 8th of May, then tried to make new highs on the 14th of May, but it didn't. So lower highs. Here is the top of this last high, 0.59, and you see how we are forming, once again, this descending trend. And today as well, it hasn't been able to break above that. So as long as Dogecoin remains inside this descending trend, it's very risky to buy it right now, because in terms of technical analysis, which in my opinion is the only way that makes sense to analyze this particular kind of stuff, as long as you don't have a break above that, and especially above 0.59, the likelihood to this to continue to move lower, considering also altogether that the annual cycle of Bitcoin that is about to close is extremely likely. Okay, so pay attention before you jump into Dogecoin now. Okay, because in terms of technical analysis, it doesn't make sense. It's a risky move, and if you don't know what you are doing, if you don't pay attention to it, it's very likely that you will probably get stuck in the coming month. Okay, so just pay attention to it. Well, I hope you find the video interesting, guys, and here is my approach to crypto. Just leave me down a comment with what do you think about that. Are we going through a sort of complicated moment in crypto or not? Do you think that the bull run will last forever? So leave me down a comment with what do you think, and subscribe to the channel if you want. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.